It was the worst drought in living history in Cape Town. The years were 2017, 28. There was a water restrictions put out there. Dam levels were dropping. Thousands of plants and Clivias were dying. People were coming to my place and saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And what I'm going to talk about this afternoon is, it's not my idea. We sat down with people and people started talking. There's going to be some names flown around here tonight, this afternoon, because together we all came up with a plan and we hopefully got over it. There was one person that came and said he's got to use water. I said, where are you going to get your water from? Because we all got installed with a little blue meter. It only gave you 50 litres of water a day per person living in the house. And it was a heartbreaking, especially when you had your Clivias to look after, let alone animals, fish. Some people were very fortunate in having boreholes. Some people sunk boreholes. Thanks, Andre. Some people sank boreholes, which also helped. They allowed you to come and have it. I remember some meetings I had in my house. Chris turned up one day with a whole lot of 20 litres of water for the plants. That's how desperate we all were, because he could have water from a borehole or a river or something. Clayton put a borehole down. He used to let me come and collect as much water as I wanted, but you've got the problem of the transportation of the water. Some people put down boreholes. I think there might be a couple here that got nothing. There was just no water that they got. And then you sit with the dry substrate of your plants in the pot. You put water in. What happens in a dry substrate? It just runs right through the plant and it's into the ground. So it hasn't wet the substrate as such. So we sat and we spoke about it, and what had happened probably about 7 years previously, I started noticing when I go to somebody's house, I don't look at the plants, I look and see what they're doing. Because you can use a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the next thing. You know, he's looking at me now. Franz was almost in tears when he was at my place because all his arrayos are dying, all his expensive plants are dying. And we said, what are we going to do? We've got to do something. So what I'm saying today is that there has to be consistency in your collection. You have to have a certain substrate, your plants planted in a certain substrate, that if one plant is dry, the others are all dry. If one's wet, they're all wet, if they come together. Your plant feeding has also got to be, if you feed one, you've got to feed them all. If you going to stop watering one because it's winter, you're going to stop watering them all. You've got to try and keep consistency, was my idea of it. That was for the municipality sent out to everybody. That's how they wanted you to spend your 50 litres of water a day. They wanted 10 litres for a shower. They want 9 litres for the toilet. Brush teeth, 2 litres. Pets, 1 litre. I mean, a dog drinks more than 1 litre a day, but you're only allowed to give him a litre. Dishwasher, 9 litres. Drinking, 3 litres. Cooking, 1 litre. House cleaning, 5 litres. Laundry, 10 litres. And shower, 10 litres. So it doesn't give you any room for the garden. So what we used to do was catch the shower water, the washing machine water, and we used to collect that water and pump it, clean it up as best we could. There was a brush filter to remove sort of hair if you washed your hair, etc. And then there was a sieve to remove the soap suds, and then that used to go out onto the Clivia. But again, it ran through. We had to stop this running through the plant. And surprisingly, when we did work out how we were going to stop the water running through, there was no adverse effect with the plants on using bath water, shower water, laundry water. The plants thrived. I thought we were going to have them dying in root rot and falling over. That's our main supply dam to Cape Town, Theewaterskloof. Those trees there are meters underwater. That's what Theewaters look like. That's our pump station that pumps to Cape Town. You can see a little bit of water on the side. They eventually joined all the puddles together to try and get more water through to the town, to the city of Cape Town. The plants died. Natural. The koekoeboom or the quiver trees, they are very, very hardy trees. They died. Animals died. Stock farmers were chased off their land and had to go and find employment in the towns. And it's not easy finding in a small town employment for the farmers. People in Cape Town, you have certain natural springs. People were standing in queues with all their containers trying to get to a natural spring to collect water for their plants and animals, etc. There they're standing. That's reality. Then, before all this really happened, I was at Clayton's house, and that's how he plants his seeds. He's got a big container, plastic container around. He labels his seeds all the way down, and they're grown on koi, on the bark, palm peat. And then he seals it. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, now that was prior to the drought. And I tried it, and what I found is that in row 2, when it sprouted, you'd find it in row 3 because they just seem to jump the queues. And you say, well, are these plants going to flower like they're supposed to, or if they jumped a queue? So I then started planting in plastic bags. Now, the plastic bag, same principle as what Clayton was using. 6 seeds go in there. You've got a little bit of growing medium at the bottom. It's wet. It's soaking wet. You put your 6 seeds in. You staple it closed with your label in. And you leave that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. 2 years. Cool. And the plants grow. So you don't have to go out and waste water every day watering your seeds. There are the roots. That's last year's seeds that are in the packet. You're welcome to come up and have a look. They need to be planted out. But that hasn't been watered since the day they got planted. They've had poison sprayed in, but that's them there. They've been in there a year now. Here are a few other little seeds. I don't know that I should have them here because I haven't got the paperwork here for them. But they're growing. There is 50 ml of Kohinoor, all those special things being injected in there. I inject them a month before I plant them out, because when they go out, I know there's a resistance to whatever hohos, whatever wants to eat them. There's going to be a resistance on them. So they go in there for a month, and then I break the cellophane open, and they're there. The ones that got planted out last year, to stop the water flowing through, we planted them in bags. We used 10 micron bags to start off with. It's too thin, too flipsy, because the principle was going to be the same. What we did with the seedling 5, 6 years ago, we've now passed it over onto the Clivia. Now that Clivia gets watered now once a quarter with 2 liters of water, fed hydroponically, and you can put anything in there. It's not going to run through into the trees or into the ground. So if you wrap it up like that, it lasts a quarter. There you can see winter time. It rains, they flood, and And I've got to say to you that I haven't jippered any photos. I haven't gone and filled the plastic bags up with water to show you all. But there are plants underwater. The roots are all underwater, nothing happening. I've got a couple of critics, and you know you've won when they come to you and they say, where do you buy your plastic bags from? They laugh at you and say, the plants are going to rot, they're going to fall over, but where do you buy your plastic bags? That's one of my critics. He's got his plants in plastic. There's his root growth. And we don't water every day. The byproduct of doing that, when you seal the bag, you're creating a climate. The climate encourages ferns to grow. So if you've got staghorns close by, if you've got any type of fern close by where the spore is blowing, they're going to start growing. That could become another industry for you. They grow in my place. I'll show you now pictures of them. People come and take the ferns away. They're forest ferns because I get all my bark from George. Wouldn't that be a nice income when the times are quiet? That's my place. I have different ferns growing. You get tree ferns coming up. You get these ferns. You get a big broadleaf fern coming up. There's all sorts of ferns that come up because you've got the environment within the plastic bags. And it could quite easily become another business. If you took tree ferns and you put the spore of tree ferns in the bags and sealed them for 3 months, they're going to start growing. So all of a sudden, we've got desperation. All you're doing is putting a bag around, folding it up. Your Clivias, I promise you, are not going to die. They'll swim in the water. They're not going to die. That was Theowater's Kloof when it started raining and it started filling up. Within a year, it had gone back to 100%. We can now water our plants without thinking. We can now continue life with water. But the journey I went through taught me there's another way to grow a Clivia. And I could have gone back and taken all the plastic off and thrown it away and said, let me water every week. Let the water run through. But it doesn't. The water's filling up. Clayton was saying the other day, everything he implemented during the drought, he's still continuing with. Us as well. Us as well, because we all came through hard times. I don't know if any of the Cape Town people have got anything to add to it. The tragedy will come to an end, but you can't afford, that was the last one, you can't afford to lose all those plants we lost. And hopefully we found out. I don't know what it would do in the winter months up in Joburg where it freezes. I don't know what will happen up that side of the country. I don't know what will happen if you use a substrate that's not as coarse as what bark is. It's something you're going to have to go and experiment with. But I think there is drought currently in South Africa somewhere. And if you go and use this method, where you only water once a quarter, isn't it a pleasure? So you take your plants, you put them in their plastic now, you water them. Midsummer you water them, and it's enough to carry them through to the beginning of the winter rains.
I'm wondering if what kills Clivias is inconsistent watering rather than too much water. What I have heard is that there are certain fungi which multiply and make spores like crazy when the plants dry out. Then you discover your plant is very dry, so you water it.
Yeah.
Then you are giving a kick in the derriere to the fungi, and they go mad and they kill your plant.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. The fungi, and that was our worry in the beginning, because we're now taking dry plants, we're pouring 2 liters of water in there. One of our members, Gideon van Zyl, him and I sat and we thought about this. I went for bags around the pot, he went for bags inside the pot. And then he would drill holes in the side halfway up, because he didn't like it looking, the plastic makes it look a little bit messy. So when you pour your 2 liters of water in there, it goes straight through, it dams around, the plastic is now holding it around, and the next morning, when you go back there, the water's been absorbed back up into the substrate. Chris Smith has always said that plants that grow in plastic bags grow a lot quicker. But why do they grow quicker in plastic bags? Because that much of the bottom has got no holes. There's no drainage there. Your drainage, there's holes around the bag causing for the drainage. So just that little bit of extra water allows. Chris, I think you agree with me? So we were worried in the beginning when we did start putting the bags around the Clivias. We did it slowly. People came and said, "Oh, I want to do it." They even took checkers bags and they put their plants into checkers bags. And then when you talk to them again, no, they're brilliant. They're growing well, while everybody else's plants are dying. And we just had to make a change. We had to have a mindset change, and I think it saved us a lot of plants. It certainly saved me.
May I ask one more, then I'll take this to whoever wants it. Do you have any recommendations on a redesigned Clivia pot?
Yes, I do. My feeling is, and I've had a chat to a pot producer saying, please, they've got to put the holes in the bottom. In other words, it comes out of the mold and there's no holes in it. So they burn holes into the bottom of the pots. And I said to them, please don't do that. Put the holes halfway up. That's going to stop the plastic bag because at least your pot is half full of water. And it's going to stop the plastic bag. So that's my next stage, can a person say, is to get these pots now that have got the holes around the side, halfway up, and the plants will grow in that. One word of warning is that if you've got a bag on a rack and it gets full of water, the water, and it's unstable, it will drag it off the rack. Many people find me very annoyed because their plants are lying on the ground because the weight of the water has caused the plant to fall forward, and naturally it happens at the top rack and it hits the second rack and third rack, and so it pulls all the plants off.
I wanted to say the same thing, and I thought the people will laugh at me. We use sometimes saucers, just a piring saucer. Yeah. It does a job.
Yeah, only that much.
So it works very, very good. Can you take it one step further? I've got a bucket of water, only water. Because those swammer, they don't grow in water. So I've got a plant in a bucket, water, no ground, just water.
Just water.
And it flowers.
Yeah, exactly. It can be done. So when I do feed quarterly, I feed with a hydroponic. I've been to a hydroponic company and they give me hydroponic food, and this CAL, whatever that is, you've got to mix the two together and put it in, and then you just go and you fertilize the plants. As you water them, you put a little bit of poison in if you want to put poison in, but it stays around the plant. It doesn't go down into the ground and get taken up by the trees or whatever.
It's not the first time that we've heard this talk.
No, Paul's been there. He was there one night at my place.
And he doesn't use that method.
Well, that's his fault. If he's stupid enough not to do it. But it is, you can't go out with guns firing and tell everybody that's what you've got to do. That's what I was scared of. And everybody comes and says, oh, but this slimy mess is my Horio. This slimy mess is a 777. You've got to do it slowly. It took us, the plants took 5 years to develop. The Clivias now, 2018, 19, 2021, 5 years, we've been using the bags. Gideon's idea was that the price of pots is so expensive, he put the plastic bag in the pot, and his thing was when he comes to sell the pot, he'll pull it out with its roots, with everything, and sell the plastic bag with the plant in it. But he used a thin plastic, and it didn't last the 4 years or 5 years.
Dave, can I ask you, did you do a double-blind type of trial ever?
I did. I put a whole lot of plants. I used, the first trial was bath water and washing water on one side. And then I was expecting disaster. And then it started growing. So then I got more and more confidence in putting it together. And then we started talking about it. Everybody started watching, got more confidence with it. Now I'll put anything in a plastic bag and grow it. It saves water, people. It saves the time of watering. It gives you you've got your ferns that you can go and sell. If you haven't got water, like you saw we didn't have, you've got to make a plan.